Hello, hope you're doing well. Ripping through my records. This is going to be a new little series I'm going to do. Rather than try to figure out what people want, I'm going to give you what you don't know you want. And I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to start making videos revolving around the records that I am recording or ripping into my digital archives. I have a lot of records, as you know, or may not know. Maybe you're new to my channel. I have thousands of records in my archives, and it is a lifelong project for me to record my vinyl into my digital archives. And I've started focusing on records that I can't find through Apple Music or the digital download channels. I have plenty of records that fit that bill. Plenty of music in my vinyl archives that you just can't find anywhere else unless you buy a physical format. And yeah, that's what this series is that's what this series is going to be. It's going to be me focusing on the records that I'm actually recording into my digital archives. And I'm going to start it off with this. Stacey Pullen's Today is the Tomorrow You Were Promised Yesterday. This is one of those records that I'm always kind of surprised at the level of, well, I'm surprised with the number of people who not only have never heard this album, but maybe don't even know who Stacey Pullen is. He's only ever released one album, and this is it. He has a series of 12 inches and DJ mixes and remixes, and he's still out there, but he's been making music for well over 30 years now. And this is his one album as Stacey Pullen. And this is a beautiful record. I'm genuinely surprised that you have never heard of it. And I know you've never heard of it. Most of you watching this video probably haven't heard of this. Some of you have. This is a great album, man. Those of you who appreciate funk, soul in your electronic music, look no further. It doesn't get any more soulful or funky than this. And Stacey Pullen is a fellow from Detroit, and so he's been part of that Detroit techno scene in the 90s. I think when most people who know Stacey Pullen, when they think of Stacey Pullen, they probably think of people like Carl Craig and Kenny Larkin, you know, that second wave of Detroit artists. Maybe Moody Man is in there too. All artists I absolutely adore and love. And I feel like they're all more well-known than Stacey Pullen. Carl Craig's one of my all-time favorites, as is Moody Man and Kenny Larkin. I love all those guys. Stacey Pullen's one of those fringe guys. Like, he's there. He's always been around pumping out music, and this is one of the best Detroit electronic albums I've ever heard. I think it's extremely underrated. And listening to this again a couple days ago when I was ripping it and revisiting it, I love it every ounce as much as I did 24 years ago when it came out in 2001. This does get considered to be like a Detroit techno album, but this record, the music on here itself is not really techno. It's got some techno moments, but most of it's some of it's down tempo, bordering, and some of it's bordering on drum and bass and jungle and jazzy tones. It's just kind of it's a record with all kinds of different influences. But if I were to name it one thing, it would be funk. This thing's funky as hell, and from top to bottom, it is a fantastic record. There's not a bad song on here. Stacey Pullen. My experience with Pullen in the 90s was mainly through a couple of 12 inches, and he did a couple of remixes that were just amazing. He does a remix for Kenny Larkin. The 12 inch is called Catatonic. I highly recommend that. I would highly recommend you get anything from Kenny Larkin. Kenny Larkin put out an album in the 90s, 95, I think, called Metaphor, which is one of my all-time favorite Detroit techno style albums. It's one of my favorite techno albums. And he put a single out for that album called Catatonic, and it's got Stacey Pullen remix on it. It's got a Carl Craig remix on it. My God, so good. And the Pullen mix, the Carl Craig mix is amazing, as pretty much everything he's ever done is. The Pullen mix is the diamond in the rough on that 12-inch, in my opinion. So good. Excellent album. Listen, if you trust my word and you watch my channel and you believe what I say, check this out. This is such a good album, man. Again, not really. I mean, yeah, the dude's from Detroit, but is it techno? Not really. There's one cut on here that is. It's a power shot. The first cut on side two. If I had one tiny criticism of this entire album, it would be that some of the songs are too short, man. Like Power Shot. It's the 1/4 of the floor cut on the whole album, and right when it starts cooking, it fades out. You really want it to keep going. Like, oh my God! Right when it starts catching on fire, it fades out, and it fades out too, which leads you to believe that there's more to it. There's not a definite ending to it. It kind of when something fades out, you have to consider that well maybe this goes on for a couple more minutes. That's the one criticism I have of this album. Like more Power Shot. Come on, Stacey, give it to us. Give us the whole thing, man. We're here. We bought the album. Let's hear it. But that's tiny, tiny quibbles right there. This is a great album, man. Yeah, those of you who like Detroit techno, I would recommend this. But those of you who just kind of like that, I don't know, future jazz sound, I mean, abstract funk, whatever you want to call it, look no further. This is a great album, man. And I would recommend you just listen to it. I hate trying to pigeonhole sounds and music into a certain genre. Like I kind of cringe at myself when I use terms like abstract funk or future jazz or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, this music has all of that. It's techno, it's funk, it's jazz, it's ambient, it's soul, it's funk. But right there, I mean, if someone told you an album sounded like that, wouldn't you check it out? I can't think of many other albums that sound like this. Let me put it that way. And it's surprising, I guess, to me that this is his only album, really. He's done a lot of mixes and remixes and 12 inches, but his only LP. Anyway, I am excited to talk about this on my first ripping through my records segment because, God, this is a good album. And you can't find it digitally. I looked it up on Apple Music. You can't find it there. I don't know how easy this is to find. Can't recommend this highly enough if you just like experimental, cool music that doesn't sound like anything else. Check this out if you can. Check out this cover too. This has always been a very striking cover to me. I remember when I first got this, 24 years ago, which is that's crazy in itself to think that I've had this for that long. But this cover always caught my eye. What a cover. Check that out. Here's the back cover. It's a gatefold sleeve too. You get some text there, as you can see. I'll pull out one of the records. Most videos where I show records, I like to show the labels and things. It's a double album, by the way. This is record 2. You get the gist. There's 3 cuts on each side. All 3 cuts on all 4 sides are fucking killer stuff. Stacey Pullen. I would recommend you check out anything he does. But in album form, I mean, this is all you're going to find in terms of Stacey Pullen releases. But this might be all you need. This is one of the most underrated, again, like Detroit guys related albums. I don't want to say Detroit techno because it's not really techno. I mean, it is in spirit, but the sound itself, there's one cut that could be described as techno. The rest of this, not really, not so much. It's just pure funk, pure whacked out electronic psychedelic funk music. And God, it's good. Stacey Pullen, today is the tomorrow you were promised yesterday. Check this out. Again, if you watch my channel and you've believed anything that I've said or you were ever into any opinion I've had, do yourself a favor, open up your mind and listen to this. And if somehow you love artists like Carl Craig and Kenny Larkin and Theo Parrish, all of these men I love personally, I have plenty of records by these artists. Check this out. You owe it to yourself. Stacey Pullen, check them out. All right, until next time, later.